I didn't realize he was the main too.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I'm going to be back where that, and I will run the microphones around so that you can hear people.
Sure, brilliant. Hello. Oh my God. Okay. Interesting day. Little story about Darth Vader that just turns up at my talk. Kind of a weird. This is quite patronising.
This is intimidating.
I thought my father might finally turn up, and well, here he is. Lord Vader, would you like to join us on the stage? Didn't get a word of that.
He doesn't want to upset the show. He looks so dejected. Sad Vader.
Oh no, you won't put me off. I'm fine.
Are you going up? Use the Force.
I don't even know what's happening right now, but you know, we're provocative.
You're doing a good job, Sam.
Oh, thank you, Lord Vader. I appreciate your honesty there. You can take a seat. It's fine.
Not in that suit.
I was waiting for you to move the chair for me.
Oh, can you not use the Force? What's the deal there?
I don't show off in public.
Okay. He's very direct. I mean, this is great. This is.
Much less intimidating sitting down. Right? So you're saying I should stop? I don't want to be less intimidating. I have a reputation to keep up.
You're kind of going a bit Yoda.
Are you mocking me?
Slightly. Yeah, I'm British.
Oh, okay. They're weird.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome along to the Death Racers 2025 update. Are we ready? Are we filming? We're doing this. We're live on YouTube. We're live on other things. I want to introduce a couple of people onto the stage. Ryan from Offset Maker, first and foremost.
Hello.
And Lord Vader from the Death Star. Yeah, I'm not too sure how this is going to go, but most of you, of course, will be familiar with the Death Racers. We've had an enormous amount of success over the last 9 events, which is kind of crazy.
It's been fun.
Yeah, and just over 2 years. So use your clicker, use the Force. Okay, so we're just going to go through a few things. I'm going to read it off the screen because I didn't fully rehearse this, but how did this start? Recent achievements and milestones, what's ready next for 2025. All I can hear is you clicking and banging. Are you okay?
I'm fine.
Okay, good. Okay. The game in 2025, the next steps and action items in the Q&A and discussion will be at the end of the talk. Do it. Hiya! Okay, so how did this all start? Mainly a weird idea about punching Joel Telling in the face. So I went to a event in Germany called Formnext because I knew Joel Telling was going to be there, and at that particular point in time I knew he was the biggest YouTuber in this space. So my plan was very simple. I was going to go and find Joel Telling and tell him that I'm going to punch him in the face. Then when he is shocked, I was then going to say, well, we're going to do some 3D printing, and basically it's a battle Rock'em Sock'em Robots, which I think a lot of people in the US would be familiar with, meets 3D printing, and we're going to do this whole big thing. What do you think? And he was like, let's do it. So we strolled on a couple of months, and going from Germany to Birmingham in the UK, Joel once again was there, and I presented him with what we would now call a Death Racer. So he made a video on that, medium sort of success because people didn't really understand the dynamic of that. But after that particular point in time, I then came to the US with a product because I wanted to launch my own kind of YouTube career as well. And Joel was obviously influential in doing that. So we went to the Midwest Rep Rap Festival. There were a total of 5 racers there at that point in time. We strolled on a few more months later. Obviously, we met you there, of course, at the Midwest Rep Rap Festival. Did you have a deaf racer at the time?
Actually, it was this event 3 years ago that we met.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, 3 years ago was our first event at IRF.
Okay, so we launched the kit, we launched the files. People started making their own files. Then we came to the East Coast Rep Rap Festival where I met you. And you, I guess. I guess. You've made a very crucial moment in my life, Lord Vader. So this is how it went down with Earth, as it was known at the time. I send a message to a guy called Chris, who's one of the organizers, and said, hey, I've just done this thing at the Midwest Rep Rap Festival. I think it's going to be quite big. What do you think? We want to bring it to Maryland and do this amazing event. And he said, no. And I was like, damn, that wasn't quite the answer I was going to expect from what possibly could be a new thing. So I was like, well, okay, here's the deal. We've got a couple of choices here. We can do it anyway, or we can kind of manage it and so that you don't have racers running around your floor. So we got onto a first phone call. Now, as most of you will know, if you send a text message or if you send an email, you can never really get the tone. So I spoke to Chris on the phone. That was in the morning. And then 2 hours later, he called me back and we spoke again. And then another hour later, he called me again, and it went from that no to amazing excitement that this is the venue, this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to do it. And all of a sudden, Earth allowed us to do deaf races here. So we then turned up to do racing here. And of course, Offset Maker Lab, most of the Mechanism races, anything that's kind of not a stock racer, these guys have been responsible for, which I think is an amazing achievement. And as we move on from that, the Offset Maker team now are an integral part of the Deaf Racer group. So as we move forward, just to explain that, as we move forward, it's not just me, there's other people inside of this group that you can reach out to should you wish to build one. I think we're at about 800 members on the Facebook site. There's a couple of Discord channels as well. And as we move forwards, we're doing some exciting things. So we're at 9 events now. So we've done 9 deaf racing events, not just in the US. We've also had one in the UK as well. We've had 2 events that have been indoor ones, which is always a worry, just in case anything blows up and catches fire and you have to throw it out of an 18th century building, which is what we had to do in the UK.
Also did that 3 years ago here. Sorry about that.
Yeah, sorry about that. Okay, let's click it. So I'm going to sort of stand up for this. Yeah, so 9 events across Rep Rap festivals, and we've got many more planned that are coming up in the future. In 2025, so into the new season, we are now planning to do over 100 kits that are going to be put into production, which we're hoping we're going to be able to make that free of charge to people that want to build these things. Also in 2024, we realized that sourcing parts was expensive and quite painful, so the kits coming from Big Tree Tech, in a chance meeting that I had in China, which I won't talk too much about, it was a very odd meeting to have with some Chinese people, and we realized that together we could work and actually make a kit. Now these kits at one particular point in time were probably, what, $300 or $400 at least?
About that, yeah.
So we managed to get the kits down to $179. And also in 2025, we plan to bring the whole STEM element into this as well. Everything that I've done in regards to design work, it's always been STEM focused. So the idea is to inspire people and educate people. It's really, really important to me that we do that. And I think, despite the name being Deaf Racers, I do honestly believe that there's a lot of merit inside of this, and whether it's a racer or if it's a tiny bike or it's some of the other stuff we've got coming up in the future, it's very much about inspiring not just young people, but anybody that's interested, especially in the 3D printing world. So there we go. That was Earth. Which year was that?
That was 3 years ago.
That was 3 years ago. Again, this year's been weird because we didn't put a ton of promotion into it because we were working on the kits and getting those over the line. But imagine there's probably, 35 races there? We're going to anticipate that next year, post-launch of these kits, now we've sold 100 of these kits already. We've made them available. People have bought them. The next stages, though, are going to be how we fund that and how we fund another 100 kits. So potentially next year we might have 70 races on site, which is going to be bedlam. Okay, hit it again.
You don't like how I look. Is there something
More intimidating if you stood over there.
You could stand.
Do you know who I am?
You could be.
This wasn't planned. This wasn't planned at all. So how are we going to do that? What's the support for 2025? So boosting support on both online and in events, bringing key experts in with your questions. We've done a little bit of that today. We've also learned quite a lot this weekend as well, is that actually if you're going to be building a death racer, you're probably going to want to be doing that at home, not when you should be enjoying yourself at a Retro Festival. That's a pretty much 101 now. Uploading build videos and documents, organising everything into a centralised location, which we also found was problematic because not everybody does Facebook. So Facebook, Discord, and GitHub.
I didn't realize that one.
Yeah, GitHub as well. I think we're going to do that as well. Hosting regular build streams, which is something we're going to be starting hopefully in the next couple of weeks, leading up to events. So we're going to build these things on stream. You can follow along. We've got a whole bunch of documentation that we've been talking about. The kits are slightly different to perhaps how you would have built them in the past. So we just want to make sure that everyone's got enough support to be able to do this themselves at their homes. Go back. Nearly there. So launching 2025 sponsorship, providing build kits and filaments, and select areas of 3D printing support. Now, up until this particular point in time, I've been really fortunate to have been supported by Polymaker, but invariably what's happened is Polymaker have kind of taken the monopoly of this whole thing. But what we really want to do, other vendors have been like, we really want to build a death racer, but we don't have time. So the way we're going to make this move forward, and as I say in number 5, the game is about to change. We're going to change the rules. We're going to try and create teams. So you might have, for instance, I see someone at the back there, young gentleman there, you might have, for instance, a Team Prusa. So you could be on Team Prusa. You'd be representing their brand. Now, when these guys come to Retro Festivals, they're here not only just to enjoy themselves, but they're also here to educate and share their journey and also show you their 3D printers and products for you to buy. Now, if you're representing a company like Prusa, you're going to have to be top brass. Top people, top brass. So sponsors will basically have the opportunity to work with us. We will be able to mass buy the kits, which will reduce the overall, it won't be 179, it would be a lot less money. So we're hoping to have 18 sponsors, and we're going to raise a whole lot of money in order to get you the kits. So the way that will work is there will probably be an online form. You'd be able to ultimately get that information, put your information in, where you are, which events you can attend inside of that next 12 months, and the sponsorship hopefully will be awarded to you. And when I'm talking about sponsorship, it's the full kit, it's the filament, and hopefully it's the support you're going to need to build one of these for yourselves, which I think is pretty cool. Something for nothing. So house racers will be there to ensure that races are fair. So we found today that couple of guys just wandered off. They were out of the race. We gave them 10 seconds to come back. One was eliminated. If that happens in the future, we're going to have some gnarly races, house robots that are going to come in and basically clear the walkway. And if anything is deemed to being unfair, they're going to neutralise that particular player.
Fire, right?
Exactly.
Lots of fire.
Lots of fire. Team captains will be selected for each of those as well. So let's say, for instance, we have 18 teams across 5 or 6 events in North America. Those particular people will be speaking to, let's say, for instance, the sponsor. There'll be one person that will basically be dealing with that. That person will say to their team of 4 or 5, hey, what do you need? What filaments do you need? What's going to give us the advantage? And the way that the game will change, there still will be death races, but we want to do things like flips and tricks. We want speed races. And out of that team of 5 or 6, each of those will be built in a particular way. So it might be a bigger battery. It might be a better way of moving things forward, a lighter racer, a heavier racer, any of those kinds of things will kind of go into play as we get into this 2025 season. And finally, we're going to be bringing public races. So people that have never built one of these before, that have gone, what's that? Def what? That we can basically give them a control and they can have a race all on their own, and hopefully with sponsorship as well, they'll win some prizes should they behead their competitor. It's all medieval. It's a British thing. We enjoy that. It's a weird mix. I'll just tell you a real quick story. In the UK, if you do something well, they give you a little well done, well done. That was a very good show, chap. In America, though, you guys are crazy. The shirts come off. It's all around the head. And this is why I love doing these events out here, because it's just next level. Let's do it. So we're looking for sponsors. These are some of the people that we're talking to right now, some of those names you might correlate with. Maybe you love Prusa. And I'm saying that because, well, there's a guy from Prusa right here. And actually, he's the main person that I'm speaking to about sponsorship. So maybe you love Prusa. Maybe you've got Prusa printers. Maybe you've had Prusa printers all your life. Maybe you want a Prusa printer. And working with them, that will give you the edge. You'll be working with those guys in a very, very small capacity in your team. So representing that brand might be the thing for you. We'll have to wait and see. We've got other people there as well, of course. Okay. Anything from you, Ryan? Nope. Lord Vader?
And next. Don't be too proud of the technological challenges.
Say what?
I said, don't be too proud of this technological challenge you created. It's insignificant next to some of the stuff we've done.
Wow. I'm trying to think of a line. I can't even. Any questions? Denise.
Next year.
Hang on. Where's Nick?
I got you.
Okay, thank you.
You're not used to using it. I am not.
He will be.
Okay. All right, so next year you're going to do teams.
Yes.
Does every player have to belong to a team?
No.
Okay.
So if you want to be an individual and just come as yourself, I'm independent, that's absolutely fine. But the idea behind teams is if you're building something that's a heavier racer or a mechanism racer or something like, for instance, your stuff with the Homer Simpson stuff, you might go into a special class. So that's really what that's about. But the idea will be there will be several races. The races ultimately will be longer, but inside of that race format, you might have specific racers for that task. That's the idea.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people who come along and it's like, oh, they just heard about it, so I wouldn't want someone to like miss out because it's like, oh, our team's full, you know. So
Yeah,
you
sure.
can
I
still
mean,
race independently.
I would imagine. So the way I envisage it is that at let's say, for instance, Mirth, there will probably be a team table, and your Def Racers will be on that. It will be part of that whole remit. You might be working on your own races, but ultimately, if you were the head of that team, you'd be able to donate what you guys do.
Cool.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Hi, you mentioned STEM applications. Do you have any plans to do like a junior league, or is it all ages?
So, good question. Really good question. It is all ages. Absolutely. If we're able to get to a point where we are able to do what we want to do, and what I envisage is, I'd like to ensure that we're full STEM with this, that we're able, working with the sponsors, to be able to, if your academy or school doesn't have 3D printers and you want to do one of these, I want to encourage the sponsors to be able to give you or loan you 3D printers and filaments in order to do, you're not going to loan you filaments, but to loan you a 3D printer in order to do this. It's a really big part of what we're about, really huge part. And I want to encourage people to do this, and especially young people. It's all about that. Does that answer your question? Where we're at right now, I can't tell you this is a definitive answer. When we get talking to these 18 sponsors, it's a big task for me because there's a lot of people, there's a lot of moving parts inside of that. But when we get to that particular area, that's when we'll be able to advise that more and more. But we've got a lot of work to do before January. I don't think the first Rep Festival was until May. So we've got a bit of time. Anybody else? Anything for Lord Vader? Yes.
Are there any aspirations for like mini death racers for like tabletop kind of things, or is this all full outside?
I think that's a great idea. That's definitely something that could happen. There's no files yet. There's no plans that are actively moving towards that yet, but I don't hate that. I think that's a great idea. It's definitely something that we should explore.
We were literally just talking about that. So the thing is with this, it's for the longest time, it's kind of just been me and a designer. And it was a silly idea, and it's one of those ideas where we thought this was just going to be a one-shot thing. We thought we'd do 1 year, and then I'll move on to something else. Now, we have also moved on to other things, so you've seen the little bikes down there as well, the 3D printed bikes maybe. They're with the Death Racers bit on my kind of area down there. So we've moved on to other things as well, but this still remains probably one of the most popular things that we've done in quite some time. It's a lot of fun. So, the other thing is, there's an element of fairness, and we want to make sure that, if your son or daughter has just made something, we don't want them to be taken out of the game within 5 seconds. So things have to be fair. It's medieval jousting. The idea, again, if you don't know what this is, the idea is to have a servo on the back, and then basically you use that servo as a joust to knock off the head. So that's it. We're seeing a lot of kind of these spurious weapons that spin and decapitate and smash and maim. That's not really the nature of what the game is about. This is supposed to be really, really simple. It's only supposed to be about taking the head off, and that's really all you need to do. Yeah? I thought you were going to say something there. It's just your breathing. Okay. Denise.
Okay. Oh, thank you. Okay, so if we want to go back to the original style of Death Racer, are we going to, like, for the teams, like, this is your set, we're just going to go back to the boom kind of weapon, the bludgeon? Or,
no.
Are we still going to have the spinning wheels of death?
Yes.
On our, okay. So you don't...
Are we still going to have the spinning wheels of death? Absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, because you're just saying, like, there's some that are unfair, and then...
Sure. Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
Simple.
I mean, you'll find that in your team, you can denote what you do. So, unfortunately, and I'm not being patronising here, life isn't fair, right? What could happen is you could just put it on the floor, and it might not work.
Oh, I've had that happen.
A cable might come loose. Anything can happen.
Yeah.
So, although we want to try and avoid... Little Timmy, he spent a year building a Death Racer and it's lasted 5 seconds. We can't predict that that's going to happen. But if it does happen, then we're going to make sure that, little Timmy is well looked after.
So you're still going to encourage creativity in making mods?
100%. And in regards to that, we're looking to set up a series of videos on how to CAD heads, how to make modifications to your racer. It's going to be in a very kind of simplistic form, but if you're using Shapeway or Fusion 360 or what's the other one? Tinkercad, we want to show those elements off, just to answer your question. But just because you have the knowledge to do something yourself, really that knowledge kind of needs to be shared. So anybody can make a YouTube video on this particular topic, and we're really going to be pushing people to do that. We really want people, spoke to you earlier, sir, and so what you find in the YouTube world is that just because I'm talking about it doesn't mean I'm right, that you care what I'm saying, and actually you might want a really hardcore technical aspect on something, and that's fine. And this is I want to make sure that we've done this. I've taken it so far. We've got these amazing kits, this amazing opportunity, people that want to work with us, Rep festivals that are literally jumping up and down going, oh my God, we're so excited that you're coming back to do this again. People that are really, really excited as well. And, it's not, I want to make sure that it's not just mine. I want to make sure that everybody's able to, deal with this and have this as their own. That's the aim. Anything you want to say? Yeah? Anything else? Fedder, got any questions? No. Yeah, so... Yeah, so here's the thing. Sometimes you'll get a big load of mechanism racers, and the thought process is, God, they're a bit scary. Do I really want my racer that I've just spent the last 12 months building to be smashed up in a single second? The answer is probably not. So, but again, I go back to the original thing. All you've got to do is take the head off. You know, it doesn't really matter how big or how scary this thing is. In regards to the way that fairness works, and what we're going to be devising next is there's going to be a little machine, and what will happen is there'll be a servo on it, and we'll test it. Does the head come off? Yes, it does. So that's it. We saw today that somebody turned up, a gentleman over here, with, it was yesterday, wasn't it, with some nozzles installed. The deal, it was awesome. But at the same time, the chances are you probably didn't know that everything has to be FDM printed, right? And I couldn't see it because it was spinning so fast, but the destruction was crazy. But it also is dangerous. So we've got to find a happy medium here where I'm working this event inside of a university, and I've called the thing Death Racers. There's only so much death that I really want to encourage. So, you know, it's supposed to be fun, it's supposed to be enjoyable, and I really want people to have a good time. So but if you want to come in as yourself, you can pick the races that you get into, and it will be formatted much better than it is right now. You'll know what kind of races you're going to be doing, and you can pre-plan, hey, we're going to have a speed race. Right, I'm going to do that one, you're going to do that one, and these are the people that are going to take. We're doing a thing called flips and kicks. So the idea with that is that you might be able to take somebody out by going up a ramp and launching yourself onto another racer. But in order to have that done, you have to make sure that all your cables are taut, that your board isn't flopping around in there, your battery's not going to fly out the back. So your specialist skills inside of your team are going to be paramount to your team winning. Yeah? Any questions? What about from Prusa? Any questions? I see you're on your phone. You must have a really good question. You're good, okay. Yes, Mr. Tripod.
I came in late. Can you start over?
Well, here's the good thing, John. It's being recorded on YouTube over here. We're also making a video on it here. And people that were here yesterday is a really good example. Now, what's going to happen now, but just for your benefit, Ryan's now going to do the talk over again because we clearly have another 30 minutes.
Thanks for coming.
I don't know. Oh, okay. Are you up next? Okay. Is there any other questions? Okay, so in closing, what we're trying to do, as I said before, is we're trying to make this as accessible as possible and putting these kits into your hands. So hopefully you could be part of that, and I encourage you to come back next year and we have a good time. Thank you very much for listening. Appreciate it.